I think Dr. Skrogi really provided a good summary of the last 2 days' work, so I'm not going to go through that. But I really wanted to actually, this one, yeah. Just wanted to go back to where we started in this discussion when Mr. Anand talked about Sam Manan, okay? And his proposal was to dedicate this conference to Dr. Sam Manan. And I think that's a good proposal, and I think we should definitely do that. I wanted to share my thoughts about Dr. Sam Manan. Actually, in the last year, in 2018, any conference I went to, I had this slide as my last slide. Okay? Sam was a good friend of mine, close friend of mine. I knew Sam since about 2008. At that time, I used to work for Air Products and Chemicals, and Sam invited me to be part of the Mary Kay O'Connor process safety steering team. And what Sam was looking for, he was looking for a perspective from a medium-sized company. Many of the Mary Kay O'Connor members are refineries and oil and gas, and he wanted some different perspective. So as I got involved with that, Sam and I became close friends. And when and became more good family friends also. He knew my wife also very well. Then, when I took the role of the Executive Director of Center of Chemical Process Safety, some of you may know that CCPS does similar things like Mary Kay O'Connor. So people might have seen that as competition, but we did not see that way. Sam and I were very clear about this. Sam always used to tell me, Shakeel, there's a process safety is like an ocean. There's a lot of fish to catch, so there is no really competition, and I believe the same way. The other thing actually he did was he wanted to improve collaboration with CCPS and Mary Kay O'Connor, and we did that as we proceeded. So I consider him as my close friend. It was a tremendous loss when I got the call the day of his demise. A close friend of mine who was also a friend of Sam Manan, he called me, and we were kind of speechless that how this happened. So he was a great educator. I think he was probably one of the best educators. You know, he was a great spokesperson for process safety. When Sam talked about process safety, people listened. He was my mentor, actually, as I was getting into the process safety arena. He and I talked quite a bit, and he was a good friend. So we all miss him. But one area I would say, as we close this conference, something we did not talk too much about it, is educating the future generation in process safety. When I was talking to several of you, you are saying that many of the companies are now changing guards. What I mean by that is senior leaders are leaving and new leaders are coming. And maybe the management of change of personnel may not be that well, so we may not be having the right level of experience coming in. Well, that's the history now. We can't change that. But what about those who are coming out from the college today? How can we improve? And if you really think that what Sam was doing is something we need to continue, Sam's heart was in education. And he wanted to improve process safety education. And how he was doing it? He was actually asking the universities to start the process safety program. And I think that will continue. Mary Kay O'Connor will continue with that effort. Parallel to that, what CCPS and American Institute of Chemical Engineers were doing were to really create a platform that everybody can learn without paying any fees to that. So that's what AICH and CCPS is doing. Is we are creating a kind of a virtual environment where all students around the world, and first our focus was chemical engineering, all students around the world would be able to have process safety education at no cost. And we will make sure that the professors are taught also. Now, this is a tall order because if you know how many chemical engineers are graduated every year. When I looked at the number, I was shocked. It's 50,000 chemies coming out every year. We don't have enough universities to teach process safety, and that's why we took the approach. So I actually pass on this message to all of you. When you look at the next year's program or next INPSC version, put a session on education and what India is doing on process safety education, what are the best practices happening, and how we can improve and accelerate the learning of process safety in engineering as students are coming out, because that's the only way we are going to improve safety culture. We talk a lot about safety culture, and we got a lot of good feedback about safety culture. That's the only way we are going to improve safety culture, if we provide that while they are young, rather than waiting them when they have to take the job of the refinery manager. Thank you very much. I think this was a great conference.